I'm so proud to be from the VI, a place of history like the African side, yeah. St. Thomas and St. John and St. Croix, nothing can come between us but the waters that divide, yeah. Even though we're just a few square miles, I travel around the world with Virgin Island pride, yeah. A lot of people still going through strife, and still we live a joyful life. That's why the place nice, so nice, so nice. Sweet, sweet St. Thomas nice, so nice, so nice. St. Croix full of pure vibes, so nice, so nice. St. John a real paradise, so nice, so nice. Hey, we got so much to lose, yet so much to prove. Hey, Virgin Island teachers never raise no fool. Mama sent me school. Hey, when it's difficult, we still a push through. No matter what the blessings of will continue. We are a people of great value. That's why we stick together like tamarind stew. Hey, remember Queen Mary, we make the fire burn, and Edward Blyden with the Africa vision. Remember St. John with the slave rebellion. General Butler say emancipation. That's why the place nice, so nice. Sweet, sweet St. Thomas nice, so nice, so nice. St. Croix full of pure vibes, so nice, so nice. St. John a real paradise, so nice, so nice. Hey, we got so much to prove, yet so much to lose. Hey, Virgin Island teachers never raise no fool. Mama sent me school. Yeah. St. Croix produced the band Midnight, and them the kind of roots make the fire ignite, yo. Julian Jackson was a champion in the ring, and now him three son them a do the same thing, yeah. Tim Duncan come from the VI, one of the greatest, and the world can see why, yeah. If you ever ask me where I'm from, born in the Virgin Island, and the whole place nice, so nice, so nice. Sweet, sweet St. Thomas nice, so nice, so nice. St. Croix full of pure vibes, so nice, so nice. St. John a real paradise, so nice, so nice. The Virgin Islands nice, so nice, so nice. Rock City sweet and nice, so nice, so nice. Twin City full of pure vibes, so nice, so nice. Love City a real paradise, so nice, so nice. Hey, I'm so proud to be from the VI, a place of history like the African side.
Talking about a land of beauty, we call it paradise. He wants to come down and check we down in the Virgin Isles. We are a share of problems, we know you have yours too. We're doing our best to solve them, we want to welcome you. Come feel our gentle breezes, marvel at the sandy shore. Our crystal sparkling waters, bet you can ask for more. St. Thomas, St. Croix, St. John, next door to the PDI. Filled up with fascination, your interest will satisfy. Some people they try to top us, but man they just cannot. I suggest you come and join us, because the VI hot. Hey. Put up your hand them high. Know that you from the VI. Wave your flags up in the sky. Show them we run this party. Show them we rule this fed. Show them we have energy. Tired man will never get. VI, we from the VI. Oh, VI, carnival time. He ready to come back home to eat boiled fish and fungi, cherry and almonds too, to drink passion fruit and mobby. See mustard name a few. We have to catch up the Juve, jump up behind Jamban. We have to be in the parade, jumping with just action. We have to swim Maidens Bay, Cookie Point and Bess up too. We have to visit St. John, from where we have to do. St. Paul is our biggest beauty, historic sites galore. I suggest you come and join us. Come down and take a tour.
Good morning. I'm saying good morning to the U.S. Virgin Islands, and that includes St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix, and of course Water Island. You know, I'm always going to mention Water Island. I just want to say it's a beautiful morning here in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and before I even get into the discussion this morning, because I've already received a number of calls about the topic that we're going to discuss this morning, and I just wanted to do some updates first and foremost, to just offer some condolences to some families, and of course families, it seems like so many people are dying these days, so many are leaving us. I wanted to extend condolences to the family of Carmelita O'Harrigan, which a lot of us know her personally, you know, but I just wanted to offer my condolences to her. And moving on to Ruiz Ricardo Sua. We actually lost him as well. Condolences to his family. And Apola Dolores Hughes, condolences to her family, that is. Warrington Williams, condolences to him. And you know, this weekend I had I attended the wake for Rochelle Niles. I wanted to offer condolences to her family as well, because I've known them ever since I was a child, in fact, from birth, I believe, living in Paul and Pearson Gardens. And they moved to Nada, and, you know, knowing that family very well, I just wanted to offer my condolences to them. And it was so good to see so many of them coming back home. I mean, a fortunate reason, but it was her home going. And, of course, my cousin Rosie Donnerstorg, condolences to my godmother, and my aunt, Eleanor Donnerstorg, and Patricia Donnerstorg, her father, you know, condolences to the entire family. And, of course, over the weekend, we also lost Holland Redfield, former Senator Holland Redfield, which I can say one of the senators that served with him while he served as a senator. And, you know, when I read his history in this morning's newspaper, the Daily News, and they shared some of his history, from him being a pilot here in the Virgin Islands to just his service in public office. And of course, his voice continued out there on the airwaves. Condolences to his family. And moving along, you know, I had a discussion with one of the commissioners that I think is, in fact, and I say this quite often without any reservation, that this particular commissioner, Sports, Park and Recreation, I think is one of the most responsive commissioners that you could find. I actually called him about a couple of things, and he was so responsive in responding to me, and in one case actually addressing a particular issue that I think was of great concern to many who would actually benefit from the services that they actually provided, and that is Cal White from Sports, Park and Recreation, the commissioner. But I also wanted to skip over something else, move on to something else I spoke to him about, and it have to do with the tennis courts there in Sub-Ace. You know, when I looked at, I actually visited that facility and didn't like the condition of the bleachers, but Cal, or Commissioner White, reassured me that that is going to be resurfaced, the courts. They're probably going to be up to a professional standard, a kind of rubberized surface that a lot of tennis players like to play on. But, you know, I also wanted to pivot a second here, which along the same line, to discuss about tennis. I don't know how many of you had the opportunity to actually look at tennis this weekend, but there was a young lady
that actually won for the female side of it, Emma Raducanu. But what stood out more than anything for me was that she was presented with a check for winning for $2.5 million. Now, the reason I'm bringing it up and I'm tying it, who knows? If we invest the kind of money in them tennis courts and start to really foster the talent of a lot of the young people, you never know. We might have a champion coming out to the U.S. Virgin Islands. And I think it's a sport that it's grueling, yes. In order to meet a certain standard of performance, you have to put in the work and make sacrifices, but it also pays off. And it's not as grueling as a football and sometimes even physically challenging like a basketball. But I think tennis has been far too long overlooked. So I'm thankful to Commissioner Carl White for actually responding and wanting to do something or provide. He actually provided the plans for that particular court and how it's going to be surfaced. And then moving on, the Commissioner of Education was actually diagnosed with having COVID-19. And I've heard some rumblings among people, and people, you have to understand, yes, she was vaccinated, but there's been numerous reports and expressions, explanations about this vaccination. Not because you're vaccinated, mean that you cannot contract the COVID. What they're actually telling you is that being vaccinated may lessen the impact of the COVID-19 or whatever variant it is. Now, this Delta variant has been terrorizing a lot of places. But I want to remind you folks, being vaccinated doesn't mean that you can't contract any of those variants or even the COVID-19. So keep that in mind. Let's wish the Commissioner of Education a speedy recovery. And I'm hoping that she's able to overcome this and be back to work. Because after all, a lot of the members of the administration in the very early stages had COVID-19 and overcame it. Some who had maybe respiratory problem, asthma, and we thank God that they were able to overcome the impact of that COVID-19. And talking about COVID-19, because we know the deaths all over the world has been rising. But these new variants that's coming out now, we're hearing, I think it's, I'm trying to remember the variant, the new one that came out, and I think it's called the Mu variant. And it's every day we're listening to the news, we're hearing a new variant that is surfacing that is quite alarming, because you don't know how deadly they're going to be as they mutate and of course create these new variants are being created. It's quite alarming, and I know that a lot of people are very, very concerned. But folks, you have to practice the precautionary measures. Not because you're vaccinated mean that you should not wear a mask, mean that you should not practice the 6 feet apart and practice other things that have been put in place for you to exercise and ensure the protection of you and your family. And you know, moving on that subject, this weekend I was kind of listening to the news, and the President of the United States came on, of course, President Joe Biden, and he said something that, we know a lot of us supported Joe over President Trump. And of course, that does not mean that we would not take exception to some of the things that he says or some of the decisions that he makes. And I was a little perturbed by something that the president actually said over the weekend. And I could not understand for the life of me why in particular that he said it the way that he said it. But he actually said it. And I was trying to see if I could actually pull it up, because I wanted to go over some of the content of what he said, because I think it's giving mixed signals, and a lot of people are becoming a little confused based on the messaging. And I think one of the things that he was trying to actually convey to the people of the world, United States, who he is in fact the leader of the country. And I think that what he was trying to convey is that in one side of the mouth he's saying mandatory vaccine, but then he turns around and he says that unless you opt to take a test, I guess every week. Is it going to be every week, every day, every 3 days, every 5 days? But it was just the content of what he said. And I don't like to hear persons saying this is not about freedom and this is not about personal choice, as though they're dismissing those premises or those benefits afforded under the Constitution of the United States. And I just want to pivot a section here so you guys can hear what was actually said.
August than they did in July. But we need to do more. This is not about freedom or personal choice. It's about protecting yourself and those around you, the people you work with, the people you care about, the people you love. My job as president is to protect all Americans. So tonight, I'm announcing that the Department of Labor is developing an emergency rule to require all employers with 100 or more employees that together employ over 80 million workers to ensure their workforces are fully vaccinated or show a negative test at least once a week.
Well, folks, I just wanted to just play that little excerpt, because it's either it's going to be mandatory or you're suggesting mandatory. But to say mandatory and then turn around and say that the option is to take, be able to conduct or have a test done on a certain schedule just didn't make a lot of sense to me. And while I support Joe Biden, of course, our president of the United States, I have a concern with saying that this is not about freedom or personal choice. And we had, I guess, his speechwriters are the ones that are charged with the responsibility of making sure that his messaging is up to par and that it's not giving mixed signals to the public. But that's going to be another issue to be discussed. Folks, the home repair program, what exactly is going on? Because it would seem to me that money is being expended for media more than it's being expended to who should be the rightful benefactors, meaning those persons or residents that have homes that is still in either total disrepair or needs some level of repair. And it's very disturbing that this thing continues to linger. And you have so many residents in the Virgin Islands, again, going through a hurricane season and just still wondering when they are going to receive that assistance that is badly needed. I know a lady this weekend expressed to me that her place was leaking. She was pretty much in a pool of water because a leak in the roof didn't afford her the comfort and the luxury of being protected when there's heavy rains. That is truly sad. And I'm hoping that maybe at the appropriate time, or maybe in the very near future, we're able to get the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority to come in here and speak about what is the result or the spin-off from the Envision Tomorrow program. Because we're not hearing about that, and we're not hearing any significant strides are being made to repair homes here in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And last but not least, the updates, I wanted to just speak a little bit about the vaccine lottery. The vaccine lottery has a lot to do with a campaign to convince people to be vaccinated. I'm vaccinated. And of course, you try to encourage people and give them the bright side, share with them what you feel is statistics. to help them to make a qualified or educated decision in this instance. But I had a number of calls about this vaccine lottery where an individual indicated again, and this is from the last time, indicated that they were told that they won the lottery, and the amount of the lottery winnings went from 100,000 down to 50,000, down to 5,000, and then there was a question of who really distributes the money. I understand the Department of Health determined who's the winner or collaboration with the lottery office, and that's how it actually works. But I don't understand how you could win or how you could reduce a person's winnings if you advertise this lottery at 100,000 or 50,000 to be. I'm not understanding the structure, and there's something, and this is where we have to be cautious. If it's in fact federal funds that are being used for that particular purpose, and it's supposed to be consistent with certain guidelines, it would seem to me that if you go outside of the guidelines, it could easily be deemed a misuse of federal funds. Now, that's going to be something I'm sure as we address or as we read articles about those who got PPP loans and had seek different forms of federal assistance and may not have done it the right way, whether they met the requirements, didn't meet the requirements, or fabricated requirements. Oh, it's a lot goes on in the wake of these type of givings, and I say givings in terms of the assistance that is affording to people around the world. So it's not only going to be relegated to the Virgin Islands. This is taking place everywhere. You're going to be scrutinized for the funds that you get from the federal government. And you know, the amount of money, because we're talking about up in the trillions for all the different grants and the assistance for homeowners, renters, all the assistance that are being provided. At some point, the federal government is going to come with some austerity measures and also probably with increase in fees and taxes. And along that line, I'm sure that many of you who have post office boxes have experienced an increase when you went to renew the fee or your post office box fee. Because I believe that it's, some people complain to me that it's more than doubled. And if it's more than doubled, is that attributed to the amount of money that the federal government is paying out that you can anticipate that with a lot of the different services that they provide and where fees are required, that there's going to be an increase? And along with that, which tier is going to endure higher taxes? Is it going to be a group within a certain income bracket, or is it going to be across the board? So these are things that we can expect is going to be coming up in the near future. The experiences that we're going to be living, the impact or the taxes that we can anticipate is going to be levied against tax-paying citizens. Today, folks, you know, last week, I think it was on the 9th, the New York Times filed a case against the EDC. And what did they file a case against the EDC? For documents. And you know, there were some questions that I was compelled to ask. I started asking myself, but it's questions that I wanted to throw out there as well. And the discussion we're having today is the New York Times, as the article suggests, sues EDA and Director Wayne Biggs. And I have known Mr. Wayne Biggs a long time. And the one thing that I would want to say to him is, Mr. Wayne Biggs, don't let them throw you under the bus, you know. And I'm saying that genuinely and sincerely. Do not let them throw you under the bus. I'm not sure what the New York Times is looking for, but it's obvious that they're looking for something. And when I went through the article and I started to see these documents, I was quickly reminded even about my personal experiences going back to 2009, where I inquired about the history, and if we, for some reason, Virgin Islanders or nobody in the Virgin Islands is supposed to talk about Jeffrey Epstein. They're not supposed to talk about it because of some folks who are associated or close within that circle, that you're not supposed to talk about anything that is bad. But we could talk about our own. We could talk about the coach at CAHS, what he have done, but we can't talk about Jeffrey Epstein, what he has done. We know wrong is wrong, and guess what? Sometimes you have to pay the consequences for aligning yourself with doing wrong. And in this case here, we have, this newspaper article that came out. And if I may share with you this morning, I read the newspaper again today, and now it's talking about Prince Andrews. There's an article in there about Prince Andrews. And you can rest assured, people at the Virgin Islands and Virgin Islanders everywhere, that this particular issue is not going to go anywhere. And, if I may go back and just share a little history with you. Jeffrey Epstein was convicted, I believe it was in 2008. And the question became here in the Virgin Islands among a select few government officials was whether or not Mr. Epstein should still qualify for EDC benefits. The question was, what does the rules and regulations of the EDS say? What does governing law say in terms of a person being in good standings? Because then if he was convicted, he was no longer in good standings and was forced to report to the local office, being a convicted pedophile, report to the office routinely. And, when you fast forward, in 2009, myself, trying to see what transpired that allowed for his EDC benefits to be extended. So you're telling me that they were able to maybe change the applicant name to a trust, or was it always a trust, or take Mr. Epstein name off and put another administrator name on the application? It would seem to me that if a new applicant was coming forward, that you'd have to start a process from the beginning. How do you provide for a continuance? So folks, when you fast forward, and this happened in 2009 that I was asking these questions, and I was asking these questions because I think that fair is fair, and that the law cannot be applied to some different from the way it's applied to others. So Mr. Epstein had preferential treatment. And you guys know why he had preferential treatment. Nobody wants to talk about it. But you know what? I dare to talk about it this morning because I think Virgin Islanders need to know what's going on around them. So I am taken back that the New York Times decided to come into our jurisdiction, into the U.S. Virgin Islands, to file a case against the head of the EDC EDA and the EDA itself. So now we step back, and we could only wonder what the New York Times is actually looking for. You see, a lot of Virgin Islanders right now are distracted by COVID-19. Press conferences, announcements, regulations, restrictions. It's a distraction for Virgin Islanders. Virgin Islanders are not paying attention to this Epstein story and what's going on and what's evolving until a news spread comes either from the New York Times, because I believe that the Daily News shared with you a perspective back in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. Now, what is the New York Times looking for? The New York Times, as the article suggests, New York Times said among the documents the newspaper is seeking are, they want the income tax returns for Southern Trust Company, Southern Trust Company's audited financial statements. 3, applications for tax incentives and related documents. And let me put a little just emphasize that one item. Applications, it didn't say application. Applications for tax incentives and related documents. If you recall, I just mentioned a few minutes ago that you cannot take an application and transfer it to a new applicant for continuance. Something is wrong with that. So the applications for tax incentives and related documents now. Then it goes on, all records supplied to the VA Attorney General relating to the company and Epstein. Now, what I'm gathering from that is they are trying to determine the consistency. If you know that the Attorney General indicated that a claim was filed against the trust. Now, are they looking to see if the Attorney General is consistent? Are they looking to see if the playing field is going to be that the law is executed, or there's justice, is the distribution of justice is fair, it's equitable? If it was someone else, would they have been able to get preferential treatment from beginning to end? I dare to say not. All correspondence exchanged between employees, board members, contractors, and executives of the EDA and Southern Trust Company from January 1st, 2012 to present. All correspondence exchanged between employees, board members, contractors, or executives of the EDA and Epstein from January 1st, 2012 to the present. And last but not least, and compliance reports prepared by EDC staff on Southern Trust Company. Now, it would seem to me that for them to be listing all these documents that they're requesting is because for some of them they probably already have the answers for, or they already know what to expect, or they may just have some documents in their possession already and they're just trying to see what is going to be furnished to them. Folks, this issue is not going to go away anytime soon. It's going to be lingering around for a while. And I'm tempted to believe that some heads are going to be spinning when this thing comes full fold, because there is so much that transpired with this, and many of us, and I'm going to say many of us, have been affected in one way or the other, whether it's politically, whether it's financially, and some of us may have been displaced, because I can, and I have no problems with discussing it. My experience. In 2009, I went into the EDA, and I requested, and I could call him, I had requested from Mr. Percy Clouding. I was trying to get a copy of Mr. Epstein application to see how, or whether or not there was going to be a continuance of his EDC benefits here in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And mysteriously in January, now bear in mind this is December 2009, January of 2010, they slammed me, they persecuted me, they prosecuted me, they raked me through the coal, because it was supposed to not only destroy me now, it was to destroy my entire family. All those friends who care. But guess what? God knows why he let some of us go through the experiences that we go through, because it's a learning experience, and maybe it's to test your resilience. And that's the way I concluded. But you know what? The chickens are coming home to roost. And like a friend of mine in St. Croix said, La de tralala. I had not heard that term in a long time. The tralala. This is a tralala. And maybe somebody could give me the history of that when I open up the lines for the callers to call in. So callers, this is what we're discussing this morning. And if you notice, I ain't getting to calling any names or any such suggest anyone, but I will tell you this. There's a lot probably going to come out of this, and there's going to be a lot of exposure. So what we're discussing this morning is the New York Times sues EDA and the director Wayne Biggs. Question asked, what is the New York Times looking for at this time? Is there new information in the request for documents? Are they now trying to identify enablers? Will they be successful in the Superior Court? Does this hinder tourism or boost tourism? Should individuals with ties to Jeffrey Epstein have a concern? Does the claim affect the local attorney general's claim? What does the EDA have to hide? Because if the EDA has nothing to hide, then I would suggest that they just disclose all the documents. Because after all, Sunshine Law was put in place for a reason, and that was put in place so persons cannot conceal wrongdoings in a lot of instances. And of course, to protect the privacy of some individuals, that people conceal information. But I don't think that any documents in the EDA should be that confidential that you can't disclose. And, you know, and I'm not going to say this in a bad way, but I'll say it. Dead men can't talk. And I say it again, dead men can't talk. Mr. Epstein unfortunately went through an experience, and folks still believe that he's alive. Some folks believe he's dead. But guess what? Either way, Ghislaine Maxwell is being prosecuted now. And they're trying to extract exactly what she knows. And she's standing up. But folks, do you know that Ghislaine Maxwell sued Jeffrey Epstein and his trust in the Virgin Islands after his death? What was she seeking to achieve? She was probably seeking to achieve that they settle a case with her and let her walk away with a good $50 million or $100 million in a lawsuit. And that would be her reward for being Jeffrey Epstein's operative. But it ain't, it's just not moving anywhere. And if I may just answer why I said the Superior Court, will they be successful, meaning the New York Times? New York Times is going, and this, if the New York Times file a claim, it has to go before one of the judges. And I would hate to see that there's undue influence or there is intimidation of any judge. Let them operate. I know that the governor reserves the right to reappoint a judge to the bench. So you see, I understand the politics and I understand the antics. And this is why I'm on the radio, so I could shed light in areas that there's no light. So when we connect the dots, understand that if persons of influence are being implicated, and those persons of influence have any kind of connection in these different branches of government, in this particular case, the court, will there be some effort to try to put the case on a stay, prolong it, whatever? So if the New York Times now, I heard rumblings that they may take the position that they would like to move it from the Superior Court to the District Court, where no judge locally is compromised because of the persons connected to this whole thing. So when we start connecting the dots, we have to go all the way back to see exactly who was the legal counsel for the EDA, who was the chairman of the board, who was governor at the time, who may have had family members working for Mr. Epstein, and the list goes on and on and on. So folks, you see, I could understand why my friend on St. Croix said that what a tralala. because this seemed like it's going to be a serious thing where there's going to be outside interference, because there's already outside interference. When the New York Times decide to come here to the U.S. Virgin Islands and file a suit against our government or a government agency like the EDA, the concern, what concerns me is that does this shed the U.S. Virgin Islands and its people in a bad light or in a good light? So folks, I'm a little unorthodox in some of the stuff that I say. And that's why I said months ago that there are things that we have to live with. And this stigma of Pedophile Island, Mr. Jeffrey Epstein, Lil St. James Island, is something that we have to live with for the rest of our lives and beyond our lives. So, that island, I've said it publicly, that the Attorney General should start identifying ways to get that island and we turn it into an amusement park. Because based on my experience, I went out on a boat and we went by on our way to St. John. I had a group of folks from Michigan, and I was totally astonished to see how much boats were around the Epstein Island taking pictures. So while some may say bad, good, and we have to start being prudent. We have to start being prudent in thinking outside the box in some instances and seeing what could work for us. That island can generate a significant amount of revenues, because this particular case was publicized not just in the United States, throughout the world. When you have Prince Andrews, who on that island, a Bill Clinton, who they claim was on that island, and other notable figures that was on that island, the island received a lot of attention. And in order to get to that island, you have to come where? You have to come through the Cyrillic King Airport into St. Thomas and catch a boat to go around that island. So we might as well start to expand and make money off of that. Because if we own the island and we put shops on it and turn it into a historic site, yes, we could name it something different. We don't have to name it that. Of course, we don't want to name it Pedophile Island, but for the United States and the rest of the world, that's what they call it. But we could brand it differently. It's whether or not we are going to be prudent and aggressive at it to make sure that when it comes to the Virgin Islands government and its people, who were victims as well, because this bad publicity is victimizing us. You know what it is to go to the United States and having a dinner at a table with some business people, and they reference that island. They can't reference anything else. Like they can't reference we are the #1 destination. So guess what? We got to do what works for us, folks. So folks, what I'm going to do is open up the line. And like I said, I'm always prepared. I'm always prepared to entertain any kind of cause. Whether it's you want to attack me for talking about what I'm talking about, it's no problem. I'll let you talk. But of course, I'm going to grant you a certain amount of time for you to exhaust yourself, and you have to do it within that time. But these are things that we need to talk about. And we need to talk about because we have to figure out where we're going. What are we going to do? This thing is not going away. But certainly that is valuable property. And it could be valuable commercial property, or turn it into a historic property, as I indicated, and start charging people to go on island, because right now you can't go on the island. But if we are able to convert it and allow for access and charge people a fee to go on, since they want to come all the way to the Virgin Islands to be so inquisitive and to discover what everyone has been talking about, all the news outlets throughout the United States. Yes, you know there's an old saying, and I got this from Mike Tyson, bad publicity is still publicity. And he was right. So we got a lot of bad publicity with this island, but in one way, it still worked for us because people that didn't know the Virgin Islands existed, they know now. And I'm not talking about just in the United States, again, throughout the world, that they know that there's a little place down here called Little St. James. I'm going to dismiss this morning that title that a lot of them have given it, because I think the branding has to start somewhere. And as we anticipate this whole thing, and I know that this is very sensitive for certain Virgin Islanders, that they don't want to talk about this because who is associated, who's attached, who may have been categorized as enablers. It's right there in our face. You know, I've lived with so many experiences, and it's not about me. It's about that picture. It's about addressing the things that hinder our progress as a people, our economy. And I think that we now have to start being creative. Those creative juices have to start flowing. Maybe a senator can propose legislation to give a direction to both the administration and to the Attorney General's office. But this thing with the news, the New York Times, for them to come all the way to the Virgin Islands, to file a case in the Virgin Islands, to try to obtain all these documents, is because they're really looking and trying to make the connections. So I don't need to sit down, and I want people to develop a high anticipation, not expectation, high anticipation of a report, because our expectations, we don't even know what to expect. We don't even know how deep this thing is going to go. But I don't think that they're going to stop. It's obvious that they're going to be relentless. So at this time, let me go to the telephone lines to allow people to, voice their concerns or their opinion on any subject. But the subject this morning is, you know what. Good morning, you're on the air, connect the dots.
Good morning from Sierra, my favorite sunshine coconut to be, it definitely means. The young wife used to work for him.
Can you turn your radio down? You're getting an echo. If you could turn it down just slightly. Okay?
It's good now?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm hearing the echo still, but go ahead.
I will say something, people might not take it. I don't know how to take it, but that's how I think it. The young wife should be a guest on your show. She knows a lot about it.
Hello?
About it. Island with Epstein.
Yeah.
Farmer Governor Young, his wife used to work for him on that island. She should have a lot of information about it. Don't let them people get away with the nonsense they do what they tried to do in the past.
Well, I let in the chickens come home to roost, because, and I could say this publicly, and I dare anyone to go into the court records in the magistrate court and see a statement that was made on record. $150,000 was offered to bring me down.
Exactly.
Nobody wanted to talk about that. And guess what? A native son to be brutalized, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It all comes full circle. That's all I'm saying. The chickens will come home to roost.
Exactly, in time to come. The wicked bad, and in this time, time to play.
And the unfortunate part here is the person that wants to do good, the person that is trying to do good, the person that is trying to do the best. Somehow those that are doing wrong try to paint the individual in a bad light. And you know what? The politics is the politics, but they have taken politics to a different level.
Exactly, and it's really awful, man, when you look at it, man. What's wrong with the minds of these people?
Well,
where are the minds? What are they thinking? What is their purpose for being where they are?
Well, we'll let it evolve based on these entities that are requesting information, the entity that is requesting information, and I believe the Daily News did a good job in their research, and I'm just waiting to see what else comes up.
Well, when they are finding you not guilty of the charge what the young did to you, right? I was the bottom of graph, when newspaper advertising and showing everybody when they pass.
Yeah.
That you was not guilty, because I'm on your side every time. God bless you, take care, and I wish you the best.
Thank you. Thank you. And you have a good day. A great day.
You too.
Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Well, I have no problems talking about any of that stuff, because I was fully exonerated, and I knew that I felt was going to be fully exonerated from the very beginning. And of course, you got those persons that orchestrated the whole thing that feels that it's all fine and dandy, and they could just go about their business and continue to do what they're doing here in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And sometimes the one thing you can't run from, you might be able to run from the law. You might be able to avoid the law in that respect, but your conscience follows you everywhere. You can't get away from your conscience. And that's what I leave it. I leave it to God, and I leave it to their conscience, because reality always sets in. Good morning, you're on the air, connect the dots.
I have to call back and certain radio hosts people was involved too. And we know who we're talking about.
I know who it is.
I know. After you're training you on your side, I would do it 100% alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's straight, direct, and real.
And I will never deviate from that. I just feel that in order for us to change the paradigm how I felt then. So what I did, I'm no longer a public official, but I'm lending my voice to the airwaves. And I challenge any one of them to dismiss what I'm saying, to not be facts. Because remember, if we go back into the history, my history tells you, I was considered.
I could tell you about the history. Listen to this. I could tell you about the history. Yeah. When you tell them on the one wall where you have been in whatever the gate, so Sprasa would innovate it by telco whenever it was. You prove me a point then, and I take it for food, gossiping and this and that, but you proved it, and you were right.
I just, I had sworn not to ever provide information that was inaccurate.
Without stop.
Yes, exactly. And what I mean to say is I'm not going to sit there to try to lie on anyone. I'm coming to you with the facts. And the same individuals had attacked me even on that issue. So exactly. I think he and Mr. Epstein had something in common.
Exactly.
I spoke the truth. I spoke the truth. I just tried my best to protect the people's interests. And guess what?
So much time Bill Clinton used to come at us in terms of the unit service. All the time he had close access to the island.
Yeah. But there's a lot of people who want to talk about it. And what is interesting is Mr. Epstein was able to exist in the Virgin Islands, and there are still people today who were benefactors of course, his what they call generosity, that they were willing to put their morals in a box and just proceed as normal. And they're the same ones that would want to attack someone like me for speaking the truth.
Exactly. And they need not to do it. They need to come straight up with you because you got it fast.
Yeah. But
anyway, you have a blessed day.
You as well. You as well. Good morning, you're on the air, connect the dots.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm fine, I'm fine.
Another thing we need to talk about is schools that don't have nurses in them.
Yeah.
That's a serious thing.
It is. And especially with this COVID.
Yeah, and they ain't got no nurse.
Wow.
And they acting like it's cool. It ain't cool.
Well, I think
I'm happy to go to school. Another time they start because they have to stay home.
Well, I think I'm going to extend an invitation to the Commissioner of Education, because I think they would be the ones to respond to that. Maybe they have a schedule. Maybe they have a recruitment going on now to try to put nurses. I don't know.
I've been for years.
Yeah.
I've been for years. Yes. So I don't know how they're going to just start something. It's been for years. And they went ahead doing the same thing, with the same boat, with the same people riding, different people riding, same mind.
Well, I know going years back, I could still remember, and I could still hear her voice in my head. I don't know if you remember Miss Maduro, that used to be up at
Yeah.
CHS. I mean, yeah. You talk about when you were feeling sick.
You reckon?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that was them people gone.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, thanks for calling. Yeah, people have a lot of concerns, with different issues, of course, and that's what this program, although we try to provide the best structure possible to be able to cover a gamut of issues, we kind of try to utilize the hour for specific discussions and be able to share information and disseminate information to the public that we believe could be valuable, and in some instances to satisfy the curiosity of many. And this morning discussing this thing about Jeffrey Epstein, because the newspaper articles are coming up every day, and I think people need to start bracing themselves because this issue is not going anywhere, and I'm sure that something else is coming. Good morning, you're on the air, connect the dots.
Yes, good morning, Francis Rigo.
Hey Rigo, morning.
Good morning. I'd like to bring something to your attention.
Sure.
One time I was looking at PBS, a documentary of Donald Trump's father.
Yeah.
He had on the front page of the New York Times in 1950, "I do not want no blacks living in my houses."
Oh, wow.
Okay? Here it is now. You can remember when Donald Trump was president of the United States and tried to get one of those small islands from Denmark, and the Prime Minister tell him, the lady Prime Minister tell him he's a madman. You remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
You remember when Donald Trump had Omarosa?
Yeah.
She was director of communication. The negativeness that he had to say about her because she revealed the truth about him. Fonzie, I done look at a lot of black DVDs that have documentaries.
Yeah.
There's two laws in America, one for whites, one for blacks. Okay? Here we have shown tremendous strength since we've been under the United States. This is America's paradise. Now to us, we may not realize how beautiful this place is because we've seen it every day. And the reason I can say certain things, I've been dealing with land surveying for 38 years. I work on all the top projects in St. Thomas with the late Leonard Lawrence. You ever notice when you in St. Thomas and tourist comes in, they admires how we got this place together.
Yeah.
And what they see is black controlling. They look at the camaraderie that we have. If somebody say, "Hey, Foster, where you going, my son?"
Yeah.
"Here we go. Come here, man. Come here." They don't have those kind of things in the States where people tell you good morning, good afternoon. And I have a lot of confidence in Denise George.
Yeah.
She have families of civil engineers.
Yeah.
Okay? And the thing of it is that I wouldn't put it past if Donald Trump ain't running a fiddle down this way. Okay? He doing a poor job where he abused the media to poison the mind of Joe Biden. All because Joe Biden was a vice president when a black man was president. Now Joe Biden is president when a black woman is vice president. So they doesn't look at Joe Biden as a real white individual. Right or wrong? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
They don't look at him like that. They doesn't look at him. Just like the other day when I was looking at how the Jews that migrated from Germany, Russia, and the Irish. They was the one that formed Tammany Hall when black people couldn't even get a job.
Yeah.
Okay? The black race have made such great strides in America, and that's what eating them out. I got DVDs of where you see how people used to dress in the 18th century.
I'd like to see them. I'd like to see them.
I'm glad that's why I call you.
Yeah, I'd like to see them. Because maybe I could do a special segment, special just to where we were and where we are, like today. You know, sort of a segment like that, and start to even provide certain things on the social media side of it, the platform, but also to give a narrative or description on the audio side of it, the traditional radio listeners. But that will be something else to discuss. And I appreciate you every time you call. You know,
I have not to cut you off. Also, I have the DVD on the 1918 influenza.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In those days, they were hanging the black people by the groves.
Oh wow!
Okay, it's just like when I'm looking at Adi had a statement. Adi made a discussion on WSD about Jack Johnson.
Yeah.
I have that DVD. When Jack Johnson won the heavyweight championship, they hang over 750 something people.
Wow.
In all states.
And you see, this is part of history that a lot of people don't know. At least I didn't know. I didn't know that was the fallout.
And the reason why they didn't like him is because he never had a black girlfriend in his life. Okay? He used to have like 6 to 9 white ladies who used to like to be around him. It wasn't that he forced the issue of them being around him, because this is where they came in with the man's-woman act.
Yeah. Okay, well, I need to close off with some of these sponsors, and I only have 3 minutes left, you know, but thanks for calling, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, take care. Yeah, folks, you know, people have different passions, and people have different issues, and of course, here in the U.S. Virgin Islands, we have acclimated and probably went through a transition here in the Virgin Islands from those stages to where we are today. And of course, that's us being such a hospitable people is why Jeffrey Epstein was able to come in the Virgin Islands and do some of the things that he did. And it's just an issue that, as I indicated, is not going anywhere. And you know, one of the callers mentioned about a certain radio host and stuff being involved in my experiences. Power to him, good to him. If whoever that radio host is want to be controlled and continue to shape a narrative based on that control and influence, that's on them. You know, and I think Virgin Islanders are becoming a lot wiser than they were years ago. This is the era of social media. This is a totally different era. Information travels at lightning speed. And certainly stories are spread at lightning speed. That you cannot get away from. So I'm not fazed by that kind of stuff, and this program will continue to exist for as long as I could afford to have it existing. And while I'm talking about that, I didn't even mention some of the sponsors who's been gracious enough to support this program, to have me on the air, to afford me the opportunity on the platform to be able to convey information to the public as I get it, as I research it, as I receive it. And that will continue so as long as I possibly can. But we have a lot of issues to cover here in the Virgin Islands, and in the coming weeks, there's a couple of things that we probably would have on the drawing board. I'm getting ready to schedule, hopefully, Mr. Nibs in the month of October. I'm hoping the first Monday in October to appear in the program for him to clear up some things, but also to provide us with information, and I would be in a position to ask him specific questions about the GRS system and what the workers who are vested to retirees can expect in the coming years, because they keep talking about the insolvency of the GRS system and that type of stuff. And you know, I was thinking, if the Virgin Islands government is successful through the esteemed Attorney General with this Epstein case, and that we're able to get a settlement based on the exemptions that he should not have been receiving from going back to 2009, and that they're able to resolve that issue with the extensions, then maybe whatever lump sum amount of money that is earmarked to the government of the Virgin Islands, I know those people that receive contributions are giving them to non-profit organization, and that in trying to clearly establish that they don't condone that. Okay, we get it. But folks, if we got a lump sum amount of money, I think it should be placed in a GRS system, a significant amount of it as well. Because remember that if the government is giving away all these EDC benefits and they were giving it to someone who should not have qualified for it, then you're depriving the government with a revenue stream the ability to pay their fair share contributions to the GRS system. So that's being creative. We just want to earmark some of that money into the GRS system to support that system as much as we possibly can. Because if that system goes down in any way, it affects the economy, it affects a lot of families, it affects a lot of people on fixed income, older people, elderly, and the list goes on. Because if they're affected, the little elderly person, whether it's a lady or a man that goes into the grocery store that uses his pension money to shop in the grocery store, you ain't going to be seeing them too much more. They ain't going to be seeing them often, especially if things evolve the way that some have said, that you can expect people's pensions to be cut by as much as 40%. We're going to leave that for Mr. Nibs in October to explain how that came about and what we can expect. Because there's a lot of retirees out there that are attentive to what's going on, and they want to remain, in line, receiving information that would be of benefit to them. And the information that they want to get is information that is encouraging. So folks, I'm at the end of the hour. It's 11:02 a.m. I'm normally on till 11 a.m. I just want to wish each and every one of you a great day and a productive week. God bless each and every one of you. And this is Connect the Dots every Monday from 10 to 11 a.m. Have a great week.
The most fun guaranteed. Or your money back. WSTA 1340, the People Station.
833-928-GOLD. They will send you their free guide.
From the water to the pot to your mouth, everything is fresh at Catch of the Day, located on Cookie Point Beach. Enjoy some of your favorite seafood dishes, fresh catch, lobster, tongue, and whelks when in season, as well as surf and turf. They cater to your wishes. While you sit and wait for your food, enjoy the friendly bar and bask in the ambience that is second to none. Enjoy the white sand, sun, and crystal blue water. We are sure the experience will be unique. Monday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Come and enjoy Catch of the Day on Cookie Point Beach. Your number one convenience store, located across from Vitraco Park. You name it, and they have it. From electronic accessories to to your favorite drinks. And from gas to groceries, you name it and they have it. First Stop 24-hour gas and grocery, located across from Vitraka Park. Check it out, your favorite store for gas and grocery.
And still we live a joyful life. That's why the place nice. So